started?
That's what that meant.
And we'll have the approval of the agenda. All together now.
I move for the agenda.
Motion by Justin. Second by Randy to approve the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Approval of the consent agenda. Motion by Janelle. Second by Cindy. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, now we're down to the discussion items. Historical Committee, activity report and budget request.
I'm going to handle that if that's okay with everyone. You should have a 2-page report. And I just broke out the activity report length of time, which is a little bit different, as you can tell from the budget request. So if you don't mind, I think I'll just read it, and it'll go pretty quick. And incidentally, the other historical committee members, we were going to have somebody else present this, but they had a scheduling conflict. So the first 6 months of the FY14, the museum's been under construction. As you all know, the Auburn Historical Committee was awarded a Sac County Endowment Grant in the amount of $5,860, matched with Auburn Historical fundraising cash. I wanted to make the point that it was cash from our fundraising efforts that matched that grant. Not anything operationally, not any operation money that the city had given us the previous year. At any rate, for a total cost of the project of $11,720. Construction changes during the renovation process over and above the project amount will be paid for again by the Auburn Historical Committee fundraising cash or funds. No City of Auburn funds have been used for the renovation costs. The project has been completed in accordance with the requirement of the grant funds. It had to be done by January 9th. And Nancy helped me tremendously with all of that. With the balance of the finish work, the trim, the paint, and some minor details to be done in the first quarter of 2015. That's just minor stuff that wasn't a part of the grant. The Auburn Historical Committee gratefully acknowledges the contribution of the City of Auburn staff in this project. Jerry and Cindy both, Nancy, helped me out tremendously. So, helped the committee out tremendously. And they had to do some investigative work, and so we all learned a lot about the space, and I'm anxious for you all to see it. While the museum space was undergoing renovation, the committee held several work sessions to begin the process of transferring digitally the pictures and documents. Trish has established a long-term relationship with the University of Northern Iowa History Department, and every year we get an intern who helped us begin the process of setting up some new software that the historical group had bought. And we have started the process of digitizing our pictures and documents. And then the second page is just our fundraising creative ideas. We have a web page with the City of Auburn. We need to provide Nancy the content to populate that web page, and that's one of our goals, to get that done. We also, if I can find a Facebook expert to help us establish a Facebook page. Several of the community members thought that was absolutely essential for the connections part, the community connections part. Whether it be alumni or whatever. We will complete the finishing details of the renovation project, hopefully with community involvement wrapped in fundraising events like a painting party or a mural contest. We have a couple of local artists, youth or not, and maybe we can put something together where we end up getting the community involved in painting the walls in the museum. History on the Move event, where the museum items are moved from storage back to the finished space, and maybe a soup supper packaged with that, somehow to make it a fundraising event. A night at the museum open house event where local Auburn people recreate historical characters. I don't know if you've all seen the movie Night at the Museum, but yeah, so complete with a dinner, a thank you dinner and a speaker. Because the space itself will speak for itself. It is now a pretty big area that before we move the artifacts back in, we might be able to do some soup, cater a dinner or soup dinners or something like that. Anyway, and then finally hosting several fundraising events in the museum space before the collections are moved back. One idea that we have plenty of inventory for is excess furniture and pictures and mirrors and decoration kind of thing. So do a tag sale, that's where we tag the items and people come in at their convenience and can buy them for that price or give us an alternative price if they might be interested in it. Vendor fair, we might do something like that. It's big enough for that, a small vendor fair. Candy and cake fair in conjunction with Valentine's Day, that was an idea that we tossed around. So really just kind of a bake sale with a Valentine's Day theme. And then casseroles to go, a comfort food bake sale with delivery. So while we've got the space, that's what we're thinking about doing. And then we hope to make the veterans display that we did on Memorial Day 2 years ago, or last year, I guess, 2 years ago, an annual event, and then continue the tradition of hosting the elementary school children. And the longer term goals, once we get it all set back up, now we've got a great space to create a genealogy center that will provide one-stop access to available data on Auburn's history, people, and pictures once we have that all on the computer. And we're also hoping to videotape interviews with people who have Auburn connections or live in Auburn to tell us about their perspective on Auburn, including the changing Auburn, the updated things that have been going on. So we would interview the kids and their perspective on Auburn. And hopefully we will secure other grant funding to build or buy a large trophy case for our collections of trophies. We have not only the Auburn High School trophies, but we have the St. Mary's trophies, what was left. So we need a large trophy case, and hopefully we can put something like that, or buy something like that. And then finally, our budget request is to the council is we're asking for continued support for the cost of utilities, building maintenance, and insurance for the next fiscal year. Any questions?
Okay, then we can go on with the next report if there's no questions. The library board activity report and budget request.
Do you want to do the firemen as long as they're here, and
Sure.
then we'll go get Danita? She's not leaving for a while.
Okay.
Then these guys can go home where it's warm.
The fire department has the floor.
Yeah. Let's see. No,
Okay.
it looks-
Oh, okay, here.
Hi, Randy. How's it going? Cool. You? There's three of them. Just one. You want that one?
Oh, blank piece of paper. That one didn't go through, Randy.
Well, that must be the mayor.
Here, do you need another?
Yeah, that's right, it is.
There's another one that way.
Here, do you need another one? I'll just run it.
I got a couple more in here, I think. We're good.
You're good?
Yeah.
Did everybody
Keep
get
one for
one?
yourself.
All right. Okay.
last year we requested 6,600, we decided to do the same this year. As far as calls go, we'll get into that later, but we had one less call this year than last year. We're still down luckily from the 2 previous years where it was really high. If you go down to the city of Auburn in the middle of the page, the estimated insurance for the cities is 1517. The operation budget would be 3,300. It'd be half of the 6,600.
Is that property insurance or worker comp insurance?
That is the,
vehicle insurance.
yeah, yeah. Their work comp and property insurance is separate from any of this.
So the total of Auburn's commitment would be 4817. And if you see the far bottom corner there, that's the township share, which it matches. The townships take half of the 6,600.
And that 1,500 covers what vehicles now? I know you've updated some,
It's basically all the motorized vehicles out there. Everything that runs.
So there's the bus, I'm just,
We got a bus, we got a tanker, we got 2 pumpers, we got a quick attack, we got a Tahoe. The Tahoe is the one we use for medical emergencies. So is that 6?
Close to.
that appears on the surface to be a very reasonable insurance premium for that many vehicles.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. We just paid mine.
Yeah. Thank you.
Lump everybody's in, huh?
Yeah.
Discount rate.
Oh dear.
I wish we could lump them all in under the city's insurance. We could probably save some money, but they're not titled right in order to do that. Not titled right, that's not the words I want to use.
They're not titled to the city.
Right, that's what I meant, that's what I should have said.
We are looking, we thought we better try to hold the line for right now. We are looking down the road. Our bunker gear should be replaced every 10 years and it's 7 years old now. We got that in that big grant here. Nancy, you said what, 7 years ago already?
That's what I think, but I didn't look it up,
5 to
so.
7, somewhere in there. So,
And the bunker gear is your protective gear when you enter a
yeah.
place.
And that's about, I'm guessing, I would guess it costs about $2,500 per person anymore for 22 people. Luckily, we got that grant last time.
Unfortunately, they're not handing out money like they were.
Yeah.
For 9/11.
Yeah.
Randy, how old was that bunker gear though when we did that grant? It was 20 plus years old at that point.
No, that gear
Wasn't it?
wasn't.
Wasn't it?
That gear I think we got after the centennial, which would have been what year?
87.
So that'd been
20
years
years.
old. I suppose. Yeah, I guess you're probably right. So,
So it was used gear or?
No.
no, it was bought new, but we kept it a long time.
Okay, and then you got additional when you had the 9/11 funding?
We replaced everything.
We replaced
Oh, okay.
everything.
Oh, okay.
It was
Okay.
all outdated.
So you're thinking 10 years
The-
max? For,
The fire retardant stuff in it and everything starts to go away over
Deteriorate.
That's
time.
manufacturer's
Suggested,
specification.
yeah.
and how many firemen do you have
22 firemen.
that would need new gear?
Yeah. We're also in, where we had to start again this year, buying batteries for our SCBA's, which is our breathing apparatuses. And that costs us, I don't know, $120, $130, I think, the other month. month or so we got it.
I thought it was more than that.
We had been getting free batteries from the battery companies, but, that, we still had some left over, but they weren't lasting in there. We put them in and they were bad right away.
Justin, what's the name of that company?
Van meter.
Van Meter, thank you.
So there are some minor things that are getting added in there. We gotta check out
Actually,
Our-
Randy, it was $169.
169, it's about $170, yeah. That's every year, just for batteries.
We're doing it every year. They say every 6 months, but our gear doesn't get used like they do in cities and stuff, so. We do it every year instead of every 6 months. And as needed in between.
We have SCBA air tanks that should start getting checked. I'm not sure how much that costs per tank.
That's your every 5 year, you gotta do an inspection, and then you're supposed to do it every 2 years after that.
Yeah.
So
So,
the inspection of them costs money as well.
yeah. It's all things that we try to stretch out as much as we feel we can and still be safe, you know, but, 'cause, like, we had what, how many structure fires do we have? 3?
2 this year.
2, so, I mean, we're not using them as departments are, but. If we would have somebody get hurt, they would come in and, well, you haven't been checking this stuff as often as you should be, you know, but.
Is there, I know you probably have already checked, but is there any kind of grants for small fire departments at all through Homeland?
We really haven't checked into it. I guess if the council, everything I get back says the council has to approve it, so if you have to approve it, so I look at it, you guys could say, well, hey, go after this or go after that type thing, then we could pursue it, but otherwise we're spinning our wheels, you know, the way I look at it, so.
Okay.
And the odds of getting anything these days aren't as near as good as it was
Sure.
a few years ago. But there's always that percentage that you guys have to make up,
Right.
you know, above and beyond. I don't know what that big grant, was that like 5%, I think that
Yeah, I
time,
think it
something
was
like that?
5% of,
5%.
Well, that grant was like
185,000.
Yeah, right around there, 170 or something like that, I think.
We had
the
to make
the city,
Was obligated to 5%.
I see,
Yeah.
I see.
You and the trustees split it, I'm sure, at that time, but still, that's a good chunk of change too for that size of grant. But it's better than buying everything.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, we got a lot of useful material out of that grant.
Yeah, other than bunker gear, we
Yeah,
got.
we got trucks, we got the,
Compressor.
before we had to go over to Lakeview to fill our air tanks, now we can do it here. You know, it was
Wow.
a pain back before we had that compressor and everything else. Just,
We got an image camera.
yeah, thermal imager.
So it's, I know it's hard to budget everything, but it's stuff that's coming up in the future to think about. So like I say, we're trying to hold line. Hose, we gotta replace more hose. The ISO guy was here in December. I met with him. He kinda talked like if we would buy about another 1,200 feet of 2.5-inch hose, it might knock our, he didn't know for sure, but he thought it might knock us from 8 in town here down to a 7 rating. It should help everybody's insurance rate, house insurance rate a little bit. But you're talking
How much is that a foot?
20, 2.5, I know 1.5 inches is about 75, 80 cents, and I would guess 2.5's probably $1.25 a foot, something like that. So you're talking 2,500 to 3,000, somewhere in there. We have been the last 2 years, if we've had anything left in our budget, we'll pick up like one length of hose, you know, just to finish out. We've done that the last 2 years. So, that's only 50 feet at a time.
But all that you've talked about there, that's not included in this
No,
operation.
no.
And this operations budget includes things like,
Vehicle repairs.
Fuel, pagers.
fuel, Pagers, radios,
so some property, some,
equipment. A lot of equipment we try to buy from the association.
Yeah,
Okay.
we don't have a list tonight, but we'll have a list next week at the trustees meeting, and we'll be able to give you what the association has bought again this year.
Well, we bought some gas-powered fans. We bought the Beast, which is something where we necessarily wouldn't have to enter a fire to put it out. It's something that you bang in from the outside of a building to spray water in. It'll go through train cars. It'll go through all kinds of stuff. So that's something that we've got, and I can't remember what else.
Well, we fixed up the bus, the new bus. We put a little money in that. I think the bus itself was on the previous year's budget, I believe. I think we got it in. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either, Randy.
'Cause, well,
I don't think we did.
I don't think we did either, because it would have been, well, it wouldn't have been your budget anyway. I guess
No.
we bought it, but
I don't
we
think
bought
so.
it well, it'd be about a year ago we bought it,
Pretty close.
so.
Is it working better than the old one?
Oh, yeah. Night and day's different.
No comparison.
Good.
You don't hold on for
Dear life.
hell's water when you're going down the highway. And
The
this
brakes
one-
work.
Brakes work.
significant
Yeah,
improvement.
that's usually when the firemen get rid of them, when it's a two-man bus where one drives and the other one hangs on to the e-brake.
I thought you were gonna say drags their feet.
Like you had the same problem over there.
We were pretty much in that mode.
We would like to replace the Tahoe for emergency area, but we gotta save up a little bit more money and try to find something. But we bought the last one right. I mean, it was an old vehicle, but it still ran and it's serviced well, but it's getting pretty old. And so that's something the association will be doing here the next few years, I'm sure.
That one luckily doesn't take quite as much work.
Yeah. The other one, we were lucky we didn't have to paint it because it was already red.
Yeah.
That's a cost too.
Yeah, it
That's
is,
right,
yeah.
that's right.
So,
Randy wants to paint another bus.
Never again.
anything else in the budget? Galen's got the run reports.
What about your membership? Have you had,
I think we're down one right now with Josh off, aren't we? Or I mean Cody off.
After he moved, yep, we're down one fireman.
So, Realize it's been holding pretty good.
Same officers.
Yeah, officers, unfortunately.
I think we
Now, why
need
would
a
you
term
Once
limit
you're,
or something.
once you're in, you gotta die to get off.
It's not fair.
Nobody wants to do the work.
I'm good, I don't have any more questions.
Okay, just need the run reports, and then we need a, after you get those, then we need a motion to approve their officers and. Thanks, Randy.
Yep.
You were there, you should know.
It's true.
I'll just let you read them over, and if you have any questions, I don't generally get into great detail about, if you have any question about any of the good intent calls, you know, just ask me, because I know pretty much what they all were.
Remind me what that category is, good intent.
It can fall into, well, for an example, one of them, it says water post holes. 2 of our firemen went out and soaked down the post holes for the new fence that went along the cemetery. And it's something they do as a, you know,
A
a service to the community. And another example is these that are call 22'd. If we get dispatched to a scene and halfway over there, a good example was we got called to the gentleman over by Wall Lake that had both his legs severed in the combine accident. And it was actually pretty much out of our district, but we responded anyway, and then we got almost over there and they told us they didn't need us because it was muddy and they had plenty of people in there. So anytime we turn around and come back from something without actually providing a service, but we were called out, that's
22.
yeah, that's what we call good intent also. So.
Yeah, we've been nice and quiet the last 2 years. After, in the 50s, the 2 years before that, both years.
Now this lumps fire incidences and emergency.
All
Medical
together.
together.
Anything the fire department goes to, yeah.
Okay. And your EMTs, how many of those do you have?
5 or 6.
Alan is a firefighter and also a first responder. Stephanie Renzi, myself, Jamie Spoda. Sarah Kent was, but I think she's pretty much not going to be doing that anymore.
She hasn't resigned officially, but she hasn't
Please tell
done
her.
anything
Sally.
for quite a while.
Five or 6.
Sally.
Sally.
Yeah.
And,
That's it.
yeah, I think that's it.
I know Scott still,
Scott.
he's technically not a responder anymore because he didn't stay up with his hours.
Yeah, I'm thinking so.
It's getting hard to keep our responders. There was things they could do at one time. Took classes and everything for it. And then all at once they says, well, you can't do this and this and this anymore, and they go there and it's.
Yeah, we had to go to classes to kind of, they've recategorized what we can and can't do, and a bunch of us had to go to a class this summer that kind of, you know, shifted those things. And I know they had talked about having another class up in Sac, but
It
so
was
far I
full.
have not, was
It was
it?
full, because Josh's wife, Kate, tried to get in and it was full.
Oh, really? Well,
She
good,
told me
that's
I
good
asked her
to
about
hear, because we always can use extra
I'm sure.
personnel. And Lakeview is in pretty dire straits.
And you have to
for
take
a
how many,
while, so.
every year you gotta do what, 20 hours, is it?
The EMTs, like myself, have to do 24 hours in 2 years. The first responders do 12 hours in 2 years. And most of that, we can go to Sac City to do. If I turn in anything for mileage, that's usually what I'm doing, is going to.
Accreditation.
They rotate the meetings. Sometimes they're in Sac, and sometimes they're like in Wall Lakes, you know, all
Shaler,
the,
Early.
yeah, all the
that.
departments in the county. And you have to have a certain number of hours in different categories, like, some are called mandatory hours and some are called optional hours that you can take. And then there's like hazmat, mandatory reporter, which is reporting child abuse and so forth, that are certain requirements you have to have. And some of those are every 2 years and some are every year. So, but we do this all through our Sac County ambulance, and Ben is good about keeping us apprised when we need, you know.
Yeah.
We're recruiting.
I'm afraid you'd lose somebody if I I will make a motion to accept the officers for 2015 and the run report.
I'll second.
Motion by Jane, second by Cindy. Any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We had 3 votes on that. I think Randy abstained and Justin also.
When he comes back, I'm gonna tell him he abstained because I don't want to put down why he was absent in the middle of the meeting.
That's right.
Randy, I do have one question though. Under the good intent to water the post hole, is that so the post will grow a little better or?
Get blasted.
He was asking about the post holes again.
Oh,
I couldn't hear everything. I lost hearing in my one ear,
well,
so.
I would assume that they, you know, it was because of maybe the condition of
It's
the
He was
ground.
kidding.
Oh, okay.
He's
I was gonna say, don't ask me to explain it, because I wasn't there, I don't
All I
know.
heard was post holes.
Yeah.
Blasted.
But you had to vote on officers, yeah, you said on that.
We did.
Oh, you did?
Yep, we're done with you guys.
You're done with us,
Yep,
Okay,
go be where it's warm.
let us know when you know what you got.
You must have knew exactly what time to come in.
Yeah, I went and waved at him.
Yes, I was just in there thinking, are
She's
they ready
clairvoyant.
for me yet? Psychotically, no, I mean, you were ready.
Yep, you're clairvoyant.
You're on the floor.
I'm on the floor, all right. Well, first off, if you look at I gave you my usual report that I give to the take me off the clock there. The supervisor, this is the report I give to the Sac County supervisors. This kind of gives you an overview of what the
We just
library
voted
did
to
during
approve
the year.
officers.
It's
You
the same
abstained.
thing that I did last year. It tells you our total borrowers. For the city, we have 283. County, which is rural, we have 99. Other cities, we have 81. That's our open access. People that come here from Lake City, from Carroll. Our total circulation, and now this is for fiscal year 13-14. You know, whenever we meet for this budget, it's kind of a funky time because I'm kind of reporting to you the year before. I don't have the statistics from the year we're in yet. Our total circulation was 3,141. The city accounted for 2,052 of those items, the county 879, and other cities 210. Our total revenue for that year, 25,924. The city, $73.99, county, $14,259, state, $9.58, fines and fees, $4. We don't charge fines. Somebody lost a book. It was $4 to replace. And grants and donations, $3,304. Our annual report statistics, the number of hours open weekly was 20. That was before we increased to 30. The total yearly attendance at the library was 4,590. That's your door count. That doesn't mean 4,590 different people. And just so you know, when I collect these statistics, if I have a kid that goes in and out that door 5 times, that does not count for 5, okay? Although if they go out, if they come in and out, go home and then come back later, that does count for 2. So that just kind of gives you an idea how the statistics are collected. Our total yearly library programs was 22. That was the summer reading program and then our Monday movie program, which is what's going on in there right now. Our total attendance for library programs, 498, which is, I think, very wonderful. The total number of books, and this includes DVDs, the total number of items in our collection, 11,389. And the total yearly in-house use, that means people that have come in and read magazines, newspapers, stuff you use in the library and you don't check out, 1,456. Now we'll get down to the blood and guts of it all. Here's our budget request. We're requesting the following amounts to help balance our budget in 3 key areas. We're asking for a continuation of the $2,500 for our operational expenses. We're asking for a continuation of funding to support the 10 additional operating hours for a total of 30 hours per week, and that amount calculates out to $5,675. And we're asking if you can help us with $2,500 gap funding towards our Sac County Endowment Grant Project. And now we'll kind of go into each thing a little more in depth, and I won't keep you all night, I promise. We're asking the city once again to provide us with $2,500 help with our operational expenses. We continue to seek to improve our level of service to the community. This year, we added the Wilbur service to our arsenal. That's the ebook service, which gives our patrons the ability to check out ebooks and audiobooks from the comfort of their own home at any time of day. All you need is an internet connection and a device of some sort, a tablet, an e-reader, a smartphone, or computer. The service went live in November, and I checked it right before I wrote out this report today, and we have had 62 checkouts so far, which I think is wonderful. In that, I haven't even had we were going to have a workshop in the future where people can bring in their devices. I'll help them set up, show them how to use it, and we haven't even done that yet, and we've already got 62 checkouts. I can access how many total checkouts we have. I cannot access who's using it. But I have had someone come in the library that I would have never bring his grandchildren in that I would have never thought in a million years. And somebody was asking about the ebooks, and he goes, "Oh yeah, it's great." So I think that we will have people using this that would not normally be library users. But when you can sit in your jammies in your living room, go onto your computer and check something out, you're more likely to do it than if you got to schlep into the library. The cost of adding the service, there was a $500 one-time setup fee. And then it was $219.32, which was a prorated subscription fee for the period of November 2014 to June 2015. From here on out, it'll be an annual fee due in June 2015. There's a $300 base, and then it's 9 cents per capita. So it depends on your population. That will be an ongoing expense. I talked to you guys a little while back about our summer reading program, so I will not rehash the whole thing. You know what we've been doing, and you know how successful. We're planning more of the same. If it's not broke, we're not going to fix it. We're going to keep loading up on presenters. So far, we have the Sanford Museum, Sac County Conservation, the Blank Park Zoo, and I'm speaking to the Science Center of Iowa also. They do a wonderful program. We'll have a couple of crafting sessions, a talent show, and a pizza party. The theme this year is Every Hero Has a Story. We're in the process of applying for, the Dollar General stores have a summer literacy grant you can apply for up to $3,000. If we're successful, what we're writing this grant for, it could potentially add another laptop computer. Upon doing some research, we found out that the Calendar Library, which is kind of comparable to us, wrote their summer literacy grant and wrote a little laptop computer into it to work on their thing, and they were successful in getting their grant. So if we could become successful in this could possibly add another computer to our arsenal. Reading minutes logged during this period are crucial to help defray the summer slide, which is what they define as amount of classroom education lost during summer vacation. Research has showed it could be up to 2 months. We're continuing our Monday movie programming, which is why you smell popcorn in here. We renewed our public performance movie license for another 2 years at a cost of $242. Arlen and Eleanor Sigmund, they've given the library permanent loan of their popcorn machine, and the smell of freshly popped popcorn has the frigid children running to the libraries on Monday, and today they ran to the library. Last year we had 14 movie programs, and the total attendance to all was 208. So in all the 14 programs we had a total attendance of 208. It's a really popular program since we established it. We used the funds from RAGBRAE for our beginning setup costs, and the children now start asking about it when they go back to school. When do we start our movies? The rule is when it gets cold. So it's become a good fixture in the library. It's important to keep our book and DVD collection current. If we want to check stuff out, we got to have stuff people wanted. Nobody wants to read something that's been around forever. We offer a lot of our book titles in large print. This is purposeful. Many of the larger libraries offer both the same title in small print and large print. We do not have the budget for that. So when the size of the book dictates, it's okay. I pick large print. We have a lot of patrons that will only read large print. It's much easier to read a large print book, follow the lines, and when your eyes are 40 or older.
Hey.
The average cost of a large print book, even with a library discount, through our book. Yeah, talk to us when you haven't been sitting in 80-degree weather for a week, okay?
85.
Ouch.
The average price of a large print book, even with our library discount, our negotiated library discount, is around $30. So, that adds up pretty fast. I have found an online source to buy used DVDs. That's helped keep our newer titles available for DVD collection. I can go online, and a week after they come out, on video, I can usually find a used version for $7 to $8 versus the $19 to $20 for a brand new one. Just for your records for fiscal year 2014, we added 24 new registered users. I think that in a town of 322 people, when we add 24, that's pretty good. And so far, in fiscal year 215, which we're about halfway through, we've added 17 new. So we keep adding, we keep growing. Okay, let's talk about the additional 10 hours that you gave us last year. You granted us funding for the additional 10 operating hours for fiscal year 2015. Our previous hours in the library before we added the 10 hours were 3 to 7, Monday through Thursday, and 9 to 12 on Saturday. Our current schedule, I don't know if you guys looked where we put the hours you gave us, but we're open 1 to 7 Monday and Wednesday, 10 to 6 on Tuesday and Thursday, and 9 to 1 on Saturday for a total of 30 hours. These additional hours have been beneficial in so many ways. Some it's easy to quantify, some it's harder to quantify. During the summer hours, I keep a grid. I kept a grid. I do not track every single day. I sample, okay, and then I average. I kept a grid and tracking the number of people because I knew that the library had a lot of people in it and all summer long. From the minute I opened to the minute I closed, which Nancy can attest to, because she was often shooing them away before I got here, there was somebody in the library always. I kept a grid every hour. I marked how many people were in the library. There were an average of 5 people in the library at all times during the summer. So the hours got used in spades. That's not counting the summer reading attendance. So I'm not averaging in the summer reading attendance to make the number higher. That's not counting the summer reading attendance. Okay, we added board games, which got really popular. That way the kids aren't just vegging out in front of the computer all day. This fall, after the kids went back to school, we started a Tuesday morning coffee program, and it took off immediately. Every Tuesday morning, I have 6 to 10 adults. Yeah, and our mayor is afraid to go back and get his coffee because there are too many girls back there. So
He's afraid of girls.
Every morning, Tuesday morning, I have 6 to 10 adults show up for coffee, fellowship, and board games. It's one of my favorite mornings of the week. They even take turns bringing in goodies. You know, they're a joy to have in there, and having a librarian available makes a huge difference in book checkouts. It can be overwhelming for someone, even someone that uses the library, to walk in the door and see all these rows of books to pick something up. So when you have a librarian there, you can talk to her and tell her what you'd like to read, and she can give you suggestions. I checked just today. I compared our checkouts this year to date with our checkouts last year to date, and we've checked out 163 more items over the exact same period last year. So that tells you that having me in here more hours, people are taking stuff home. I'm not pushing it up. By the way, I'm not making them go out the door, just so you know. No treats unless you have a book. But people will talk to me, and it's just good to have somebody to suggest stuff. Because when you look at so many titles, it's just kind of hard to figure out which one to take home. I now truly feel like I'm doing a better job serving the entire community instead of, it's great that I serve the kids, but now I sort of feel like I'm doing a better job serving the entire community. Here's the part that's harder for me to quantify in numbers for you, and it's having someone here and the open sign up. I've had people stop as they were passing through Auburn, and they told me they always wanted to come in, but we never were open before, so they came in. This was a couple ladies from Sac City. We had a gentleman stop by. This was the most interesting one. He was from out of state. I believe it was Oregon or Washington. You remember him? Mm-hmm. He came in. He was trying to establish his wife's citizenship. She'd been living in Canada, and he was trying to establish United States citizenship for his wife. So she had ancestors here in Auburn. We went, we found her ancestors on the wall up there, and Nancy got excited about the whole thing too, and she went upstairs in the old records and found some property records. So he photographed those. She notarized a statement, and that gave him some proof.
Super cool.
So that was very gratifying for me to be able to help somebody like that.
It was.
You know, wasn't
It was
that
cool.
It
Yeah.
was great. It was
We
great.
don't get a lot of those inquiries, but every once in a while some.
But we were here to do it, and it was just it was wonderful. You know,
No.
you just never know.
Who that
And that guy might be a trillionaire who'll someday leave us $1 million.
Well, you never know too, and that's why. And when you look at when I look at my kids too, somebody said to me once, "Oh my God, don't you go home with a headache?" And I'm like, listen, you never know who the next Roy Ryman is going to be.
That's
So
That's
you
right.
treat everybody and give them good memories. You never know who the next Roy Ryman's going to be. And I also have business people who stop on their way through town to use our wireless internet. Now, we do not unlock our wireless internet. We leave it password protected just to help protect us from people standing in front and illegally downloading movies, which could potentially interrupt your internet provider. But they just bring their device in, I type in the password, and then they're ready to go. And I've had a lot of people stop and do that. You know, our life is getting driven on the internet these days, everything we do. And it's just going to be more so. Receive notice from Social Security that very, very soon all the Social Security will only be online, no more paper Social Security. So, I feel, okay, it also is an advantage to the city to have someone here to answer phones, to check out yard waste keys, and to sell trash bags or whatever beyond the city clerk's hours. And I'm glad to help. I don't see a division as this is not a library job. I feel like if we work as a team and help with our community, that's a good thing. And sometimes you can diffuse a situation by someone talking to a person versus an answering machine and someone that may want to kill Nancy the next day. I can explain to them what is going on.
Saves my
before, it's hard. You know how frustrating it is when you talk to a robot on the machine. And so it's helpful to have a person here. I feel very strongly about the value of these additional hours. I've asked the library board to keep my wages the same at $9.36 per hour. So no part of any additional funding would go to give me a raise. And now we'll move on to the gap funding for our Sac County Endowment Project. As you all know, we received a Sac County Endowment Project for a major renovation in the library. It's going to turn the space into a true community center. That's kind of how we see ourselves heading, as a community center, not just a library. We're going to reconfigure to maximize space and efficiency. We're going to add storage and wiring and refinish the floors. We're asking if the city could contribute $2,500 to help us bridge the gap of $3,905.50. That gap is between what we have now and what the grant gave us and the project total. We believe wholeheartedly in the value of this renovation to the library and our community. We're sinking every last unspent dollar we have raised into this project, and we're also doing additional fundraising right now. If you look in the library, we're in the process of collecting items for our next fundraiser giveaway. Last year, we held 3 fundraisers and applied for and received a Sac County grant. We will continue to seek fundraising opportunities to help support our library and maintain and improve our level of service to this community. We'd like to thank you for your continued support of our efforts. We do, and I know I'm speaking for the library board as well as myself, we do feel we have your support. And we appreciate everything. Don't think we take it for granted. We appreciate everything you do for us. I also have, if anybody ever wants any light reading, I have available in the library. I did not print one out for everybody because it's really extensive. But every year I have to do to the state, I have to do a year-end report, which details every last thing we did in the library. Every circulation, broken down by adults, by teens, by whatever, every dollar that was spent and where. So if anybody is ever interested in that, I do have a copy of this in the library. You can also access it online.
So in terms of the gap funding,
Yes.
the $2,500 that you're asking for, you're saying that the foundation, the library board foundation, is putting in every dollar they have available.
Every dollar we have in the trust, we have the library trust, which contains funds that were not raised and allocated for a specific purpose. So for instance, last year we had a fundraiser specifically to add the ebooks. Well, that money was spent on the ebooks, but any dollar we have raised in the last however many years, we will have nothing left in the trust when we're done with the renovation project. But we feel that this project is very, very important. It's going to be wonderful. It'll reconfigure the space. It'll move the computers. I've often thought, if I was a civilian, you guys have all walked in there at some point after school when the kids are all right at the computers there. I've often thought, as just a regular person walking into the library, at that point I may turn around and walk back out. So if we can get those computers back against the wall, which is our plan, wire them back against the wall. When you first walk in, on the left-hand side will be the adult area. Periodicals, magazines, conference table, coffee machine. That'll be right there. So any adults that want to come in and read these, they'll be right there. We'll have back towards the back, beyond the librarian's desk, the computers, and back in the corner, the teen area. So it's just kind of reconfiguring the space. We're very happy with the children's space that we've renovated over the years. We're not messing with that other than to refinish the floors. It'll add wiring. Anybody that's been in the library recently, and I have all the stuff out, you will see we'll add some storage. I have my lovely storage table back there where I have things stacked about 5 feet 3 inches high, and it's having some cabinetry to store everything in. It'll be wonderful.
And she's guaranteed that she'll use it.
I will. I will. And I may crawl in it sometime.
The library got the second largest matching grant from the Sac County Endowment Center in the county. So kudos to them.
Well, it's a big project, It's all in total. I don't have the exact figure here. Right around $23,000. So it's a big project, but it'll be great. And we have so many people use this library that it'll really maximize how we're able to use it. It will be wonderful to not have to run extension cords across everywhere when the election people come in, or tonight I had someone that wanted to charge up their Kindle. We had to pull out my OSHA approved milking stool in order to get up on the wall and plug in the Kindle to recharge it. So having a few more outlets will be great. Technology is where it's going, you guys. I think you know that. And we have to keep up with that. We had a meeting when we had our Sac County Association meeting. One of our Northwest Library representatives came in and talked, and she said there are several bookless libraries now in the United States, all ebooks. So library's kind of evolving from, I don't know that it'll go that far that fast, but, we're becoming more of a resource place and a place of programming, available venue for what you need to meet and greet, to find to be able to route you to the resources you need, which in this electronic driven age, I won't always have the exact answer you need, but I'll know how to put you in touch with who does. Any more questions?
Kind of unrelated. Does the library still have card catalogs?
No. Well, we actually, in our library, we actually still do keep checkout cards. We don't have the old card catalogs where you look it up.
I'm curious.
Well, they've kind of become if you look on Pinterest, they've been kind of become a popular item for people to craft with, but that's about it. No, I don't know of any library in the area that still uses a card catalog.
Okay.
Thanks again.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Now I've got to go see
What they tore up while you were in
destroyed
here.
the library. Oh, and just another interesting thing, just to tell you, I currently have a guy coming in every night to work on his master's degree. So that's another fun thing. Just to know how.
Cool.
Yeah, just to know how people are utilizing, so you can kind of get a feel for how people are utilizing the library. It's not just kids playing Minecraft.
Well, and your person who comes in with the disadvantage.
Yes, and Carmen, yes, she comes in and I mention her name because she won't mind. I'm not violating her privacy, but she comes in, she has a disabled son, and she comes in every other week to access the computers. Music is his thing, he's autistic and cerebral palsy and blind, and he comes in and listens to music and leaves her a whole thing of titles that he wants to get through. So we're helping, I feel right now, I'm very happy right now, we're helping I'm feeling we're helping a very diverse section of people.
He has to say hi, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. And he always asks if you're there too. See, the sameness is good for him. And so I have to say the same thing when he comes in, you notice I say, "Good morning, Jacob." That's what he waits for. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now we have an action item there. A budget request.
We're on to the resolution.
Number 7. Consider.
Well, what about we backed up one to the library board
That was
activity?
just discussion. Yeah, we already did
Well, that was
that.
a
So now-
historical thing. The library board hadn't reported yet.
They just did. They just did it.
Well, we haven't acted on it.
We don't
You're not
have
going
It's
to.
a discussion
It's
item.
just a listening item.
I see what you said. Okay.
No, we're down here.
Okay, resolution 15-1.
This is just an annual thing we do.
Yep. And why we do it calendar year rather than fiscal year, I don't know, but it's calendar year, so we do
It
it.
is what it is. I'd make a motion to approve resolution 15-1.
I'll second.
Motion by Jane, second by Cindy. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Now we go to ordinance 15-1.
Sure, I gave everybody but me a copy of that.
Here, you wanna see mine, Rudy?
I got one, Paul.
Basically, we've kind of struggled over the years the ordinance has always said that you guys set water and sewer rates at the first meeting in January, and there were a lot of reasons for that at the time that ordinance was done. But we found it a little bit of a struggle with all the other busy activities at this time of the year. So basically what this ordinance says is that you will set water and sewer rates for 12 consecutive months from the date of passage at a time before the budget is certified, which is in March.
Which gives us an opportunity to talk about the budget first and then set the rates.
Yes, yes, which
So-
what I was going to say next.
Sorry.
That's all right. Otherwise, the
That's how
only,
I had to understand it.
yeah, that's fine. The only other change in this amendment, which it looks like it's a big amendment, but it's really not, is the rates in this ordinance are updated to current rates. The rates that were in there were 2007 rates, I do believe, or 2009. So that just updates those rates to current. It's what we're charging. It's what you approved last year in January. It changes nothing as far as the rates go tonight. All it really changes is it updates those rates as far as our ordinances is concerned, and then allows you guys to discuss water and sewer rates in the context of the budget and set those rates when the budgeting is done. So we'll talk about the rates exactly on Monday night when we meet next week.
I'd make a motion to pass ordinance 1501.
1502. Last one was 01, wasn't it?
Nope, that's a resolution, Justin. This is an ordinance.
Second.
Okay, motion by Jane, second by Randy
Yep.
to approve ordinance 15-1. Any other discussion, further discussion on the ordinance, on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Do we need a separate motion to waive the second and third reading?
Yes.
I'd make a motion that we waive the second and third reading of ordinance 1501.
Second.
Okay,
Justin.
motion by Jane, second by Justin to waive the second and third readings. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Somewhere in your packet is a form that came from Region 12. If you'll remember, a year ago, we had what we called the Ronnie Heim property. We had that house demolished. This was a Region 12 project, and what you have in front of you is an accounting of that Region 12 grant project. The last item of the project is the city needs to intend to sell that property with the intention of building a house on that property. Now that doesn't mean we tonight have to necessarily say we're taking bids. We just have to go on record saying that yes, you're interested in selling the property, and then we need to take some action towards making that known to people, okay? When or if the property is sold, then we will need to repay Region 12 $3,000. We did these, there's actually been 2 of these projects since I've been here in this office. And one of them has a house on it, one of them doesn't. The person who wants to purchase the property does need to state to the council that they intend to build a house. Okay?
Does the advertisement, if we decide to put an ad in the paper, does it need to say that we would like $3,000 for it?
Nope. Nope.
Just that it's for sale.
And what you actually have to have for it is up to you. I will tell you that I don't believe that we sold either of those properties at the full amount that we had to pay Region 12. Council at the time those offers were made, council was really wanting utility customers, new houses in town, and property on the tax roll. Because at this point, this property is not going to be on the tax roll. Now, we're going to pay property taxes on it, but the value is so little that we won't pay much at all. Now, the other thing you can do, and we get in trouble with the grant, but for now you could designate it a park, and then we wouldn't pay property taxes, but that gets us in trouble with our grant, so it's just not worth all that.
And we could still advertise it just to get our money back if possible. We could still advertise it or ask for, not in the ad, but ask for $3,000. And if we don't get it, we can always reduce the amount that we're asking for it at a later date, correct?
Yes, you can do,
So it looks
at
like
this
we're-
point, you can do really about anything you want. I just want you to know that when or if it's sold, we have to pay Region 12 $3,000, okay?
Right.
How much you sell it, I would refrain from setting the price, but saying maybe we'll take less, because then you're gonna take less if you make that publicly stated. You know, we can advertise that you want to take bids. You could try that. It's up to you. I mean, that's a more aggressive approach.
You put an ad in the paper, people are gonna wanna know, well, what do you want for it? I mean, if anyone is remotely interested, they're gonna say, well, what do you
What we
want
did
for it?
before was, we didn't set a price, but when people made that phone call to me, I made it known to them that the city had an obligation of X number of dollars on the property. Okay?
And invited them to make
And
a
then
proposal.
they made a proposal. It's easier for us, well, it's not easier, but we can either take bids or let someone make a proposal to the city. If we're gonna take bids, okay. But that means you get in a little more aggressive position if you take bids, and you can reject them, or you
So
can,
we could simply say,
we have a property for sale, period.
okay,
Contact City Hall.
right.
And make it known we're asking $3,000, but make a reasonable offer.
Yeah, but do that privately, verbally, rather than in a public advertisement. It's up to you, but that's the last step of this process.
The only part of that I hate is that someone down the road, and I know we can't make sure everybody knows about it, but someone down the road say, well, how did they pick up that property for $100? If I'd known it was $100, and I know we're gonna get that from somebody, and we can't take care of everybody, but I just think, hey, if you're interested in the property, make a proposal. We're interested in moving it as quickly as possible.
Yeah, and leave it at that. We can put an ad in the paper, we can put, something in the newsletter, but they have to be wanting to build a house. The neighbors next door don't get to buy it to build a
Put
garage.
a garden on it.
No, or to put a garden on it. If that is their intention, council cannot knowingly sell that to them.
So basically we just need a motion to pursue selling it.
Yep, to offer it for sale, and then tell me how you want to do that.
I make a motion that we offer the Heim lot for sale by contacting the city office.
Okay,
for that.
Put an ad in
Put an ad in the
Tri-County, but it's.
paper and
Just-
newsletter.
okay. But as vague as possible.
Yep.
Okay. We'll give the property address and the fact we want to sell it. Okay?
Okay, motion by Justin, did we have a second?
Second.
Second by Randy. Any further discussion on the motion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Nancy, I do have a question about that. There's nothing buried on that lot. They hauled all that out, right? Because if I get the question.
They were supposed to have.
Gold.
Yeah, that's a prerequisite with these Region 12
That's-
programs.
that's what I thought.
There's everything is gone, yeah.
The house didn't have a basement.
Oh, that's right, it didn't, it just had a little crawl space.
Right, I just didn't know if they dug a space to bury some of it or if
No.
it was all hauled out.
I ain't
Yep.
seen, some of the concrete didn't get down in there, but,
Well, no, I know.
Yeah.
but what I seen, I was standing up there all day long watching it, but they pretty well cleaned it out, so like I
Yeah.
said, there was not a
Yeah, they
basement.
hauled it away.
Yeah.
Got it, okay.
Public forum, there's no one to speak to us. Okay, reports. Public Works.
It was 85 degrees. Beer tasted good.
Where was that?
What
Island
else?
Jerry,
What's that?
I have a question for you. When the water turned rusty, a month or so, 2 months ago, we thought maybe it was a chlorine thing.
No, I never
Okay.
said that.
Okay,
I did, but I told her I couldn't remember. And I did not get a chance to talk to him since you and I talked this afternoon, so he doesn't know what you're talking about.
okay. Well, that rusty water problem showed up again, just like blizzards do. When you take vacation, then the system falls apart. I don't know why. But what do you think?
Is
What
it
are,
through the whole town, or is it just?
no, it's
Just up
in
there.
I
the general
haven't
same
noticed
area.
Yeah, I don't know, I'm talking, I'm gonna be talking to a DNR person Wednesday, find out the deal there.
Do you think it's an additive you're putting in the water, or, I'm not asking for anything
I have
definitive.
no idea. I
Like
mean,
you said, he's
why,
having the same
whatever's going on, and, you know,
Like city-
maybe something else we're pumping up is acting, you know,
Yeah, reacting with,
yeah, and, I don't know, I mean, I'm not a chemist.
Yeah, and you didn't even know because nobody had told you about this one.
I know Sally did it once.
My son, I've never had a problem over there, but now this house I do.
I know
it's on
Sally's
the,
mentioned it
it's
a
on the
couple
west side.
times.
So Jerry, at least we can say, we're looking into it.
Yeah, like I said, I'm talking, Wednesday, I'm hoping I'm talking to DNR lady and just see if Lake City's having the same problem. I mean, theirs is worse, you know, in the sense, the whole thing there. What's going on, I have no idea.
But we have no fears that the water is not safe. We're doing our testing.
Oh,
and,
yeah, all the samples said it's
Okay.
all, I wouldn't say I wanna drink
The rusty?
yeah, that,
Yeah, I mean, we're hauling in all our water, just, we've had a lot up there.
Have you had a lot of rust in there?
That's really weird, isn't it? I've never had.
Randy, are you getting?
I have great water.
Yeah, I do
mean,
too.
I don't have no problems at all with it.
That house was, all the lines have been replaced in that
And
one.
I've never had rust, noticed.
you know, I mean, that's,
It's kind of showing up.
That's why it's
in
weird the way it's
same
spotty.
it's spotty, I mean, why?
And that
would
makes it
this-
more
should be
difficult.
through the
Yeah.
whole block and not just a house.
Right.
You know, that's, like I said, I want, Wednesday I'm supposed to be talking to a DNR or something kind of up there and see that, you know, if they could tell me something, you know, it just,
Mhm.
Yeah, I know one day we were pouring bath for our son and it came out looking like coffee. And it was,
That's weird.
Can't be earthquakes, can it?
and, I don't know, it
Earth move
It did
hasn't moved
stink.
under my feet
was, you know,
lately.
I mean, a lot of times we
Yeah.
get like a sulfur smell or something with
Yeah.
it. But this didn't stink at all and it was brown. I got pictures of it.
That's probably the rust.
So
Yeah,
I know
just-
everything in my house has been replaced as far as water lines, we did everything in there, so
Well, you keep that brown water just south of us.
Yeah.
But, yeah, but I know Lake City's having the same problem, I talked to Marty Rath this weekend, he had to go replace an on-demand hot water heater that plugged up from the rust and stuff, so.
Is it
I mean,
rust that's showing up in there?
Well,
or
it's
is
some
it-
kind of
Whatever
sediment,
smell it
I don't
looks
know,
like.
that,
Wow.
The dad had it one day, he poured a jar full of it, it sat for a day, and the whole bottom of it was like black. Like sediment had come down out of it,
Yuck.
and the bottom of the jar was black. But
So,
it's-
so we're on it, and we got somebody we're gonna talk to that,
Well, like I said, I'm just gonna talk to DNR here and see if, I mean, if there's something that's going through Iowa or South or, cause Lake City and we're on the same aquifer. So if there's something in there that's reacting to something, you know, I don't know. Right now, a lot of people don't.
It's too hard to pinpoint something that's going from different house to different house in the same block. Ain't even,
And
and
you
some
know,
ain't it.
everybody out, but you got a house here, you got a house there, you know, what's,
yeah, it could be a number of factors, obviously. How often do we test the water? I mean, just what's your regular schedule?
we need test.
Test it for purity. Is that a sample that you do weekly, or what's the regulation? What's the rule?
Tested for iron?
Test for,
Nitrates or whatever.
yeah,
Oh,
okay
no,
to drink.
No, nitrates is not a thing there, that's a once a year deal.
Okay.
He's got some that are monthly, some that
Some
are
are 3 years.
annual, some are
That's what I meant.
3
Nitrates
years.
might be 3 years, you
But
know.
you test for chlorine content daily.
Right.
Okay,
So that's your purity
And,
as far as drinkable is,
right. Bacteria in the water
Yeah.
and.
Bacteria is once a month, a sample for that. That goes in, gets tested. And then you got a few
And
others.
We're using the same filter schedule we always have,
Nothing's changed, it's just,
okay?
I
I'm
don't
not
know.
trying to diagnose it, I just want information so I can reassure people that we're on it and we're checking it out and nothing has changed.
You know, just, like I said, I don't know what's in the water, for example. You know, maybe there's something that's, like I said, that's what I want to talk to DNR Wednesday.
Okay.
To see if there's something that's there doing what, I don't know.
Okay.
Like I said, Lake City's had 2 big episodes about it, and they put brand new water system, you know, everything in.
Oh, really? Their water system's fairly new?
brand new
I
well.
mean, a water plant. New filters and everything, and they, so, you know, I don't know. But then, you know, it's just, I don't know, what's in there, you know, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not a chemist. We test whatever the state tells us to do, mandate, you know, we do it, and everything always passes what we're doing, but, you know, maybe there's something else new that's going on.
Right. Okay.
Thank you, Jerry.
The beer still tasted good.
City clerk?
If y'all noticed, you woke up Sunday morning with electricity. So
Oh.
our power supply switchover apparently worked.
Yeah.
The only other thing I really have for you is a couple of reminders. Next Monday night, we'll meet here again at 6 o'clock for our budget work session. And then Wednesday night, the 21st, is the council meeting with the township trustees at 6 o'clock at the fire station, Justin?
Yes.
Okay. And council's invited to sit in the trustee meeting, and then whatever else the firemen invite you to. We really, again, don't have a huge part of this meeting. It's more of a be there to say, according to our agreement, that we all talked about the budget. So that's all for me.
Sac County Solid Waste Board?
We had 2 meetings actually, and we had an extra meeting because we wanted to look at the plans for what we're now calling the transfer station. The general idea, and it's still kind of in the rough stage, is, as you know, we closed down the landfill. When we close down the landfill, and they're not opening another cell. When we closed, and the current cell has a life of another 18 months. So we hopefully will have the transfer station up, or the goal is to have the transfer station up and operational, of course, before we run out of landfill space. We have a transfer building that we just built a year ago for recycling, and that will continue in that separate building. This new building we're talking about is a transfer station for garbage. So all of the garbage that's collected in Sac County will be collected at that transfer station, which is essentially a huge building with a pit that a semi can back down into or drive into, and they will shove the garbage or dump the garbage, whatever the case may be, into the back of a semi. And for the foreseeable future, it looks like Carroll is the likely recipient of the garbage. It's basically lower cost than keeping the landfill open. So they've come up with a basic design now. They're just trying to put numbers to it, and I don't have the numbers tonight for you, but I can tell you that they met with DNR, and DNR is strongly encouraging them to fast track closing the landfill. You may have seen it on TV where Des Moines Water Works is suing Sac and Calhoun and what was the other one? Buena Vista County for the nitrates in the water. Some of that DNR is, I haven't heard this directly, but the inference was DNR was saying closing your landfill makes a huge statement about we're transferring those wastes somewhere else. And those, whatever comes out of those wastes will not end up in the water system from Sac County. So in terms of timing, I guess it's good timing. In terms of not opening up a new cell, every time you open up a new cell, not only is it extremely expensive, but your obligation, we have to monitor those cells for the next 30 years.
Yeah, I know. For the
So that your
gases and
obligation
the
gets
pipes
pushed
and-
farther out. So that's the solid waste board. We have another meeting, of course, at the end of the month and the last Tuesday in the month, and we should have numbers to give you.
But they won't let us skip going to SAC. We still have to go up there with our trash.
No, they will not. We're part of that 2080,
That's so stupid.
and they won't let us out. However, I
Since he's going to
think
Carroll anyway, it's so
Yeah.
stupid, you know what I mean?
it is ridiculous.
Giving us a lot more cost for,
But in '78, when they signed that
Yeah.
thing, at the time,
So seriously though, even though we pay the landfill fee, they're still gonna require that they drive up there with it? Oh, we need to go to the landfill board meeting, cause that's ridiculous. That's stupid. Sorry.
well, I think,
I agree.
Well, it is
now
dumb.
wait, you know, with the recycling, we don't. We take it directly down
But
to
that's
Carroll.
still stupid.
Yeah,
But I think
Then I see how much garbage is coming out of here.
yes, I think that the garbage somehow has to be quantified. And the only way to do that is have them dumped in Sac City.
Then weigh it, and then go to Carroll.
well, he can weigh it in Carroll. I mean, seriously, or you can weigh it at Stan's.
Somebody's passing the buck.
How long is that 2080 agreement for?
Well,
It's not an ending thing.
Yes, and
Oh.
yeah.
Although, you know, there is a law out there, and
Yeah,
I shouldn't say this out loud, but there is a law out there that says what one council agrees to is not binding on the next council.
well, the thing is, we enter a 2080 agreement every year with the trustees. Why?
Because we
Yeah, this
review
one.
that every year.
Right, but I mean, why can't we put this one into question?
Because it's the tyranny of the majority. The majority members have to allow you out in this particular, the way this 2080 is set up. The majority of the members have to allow you to exit. And they're not gonna allow anybody to exit because,
You're getting the same flack from other places. Yeah, it's not just, but this is stupid.
Mhm.
I'm sorry.
Well, that's a
well,
lot
and
of
who
additional
knows,
cost for us.
there is the possibility that, yeah, as long as we pay our landfill fees.
That's all I'm saying, is I'm not trying to get out of our costs, but why, it costs us more for a garbage hauler because it has to go up there rather than down there where he lives.
Right.
That's what doesn't, and that doesn't make any sense. I
No,
mean,
but it doesn't make any sense for
Besides-
the longest time for us to be a
Right.
part of this 2080. But it's
It-
Like I said, it's the tyranny
Yeah.
of the majority.
Anyway,
But I can assure you, I will do what I can do to make sure that we do not have to haul it up there. And we did win on the recycling, and that was a big deal with people, with other cities. Well, you let Auburn do that. Of course, there is no one but Auburn as close to Carroll.
Right. Well, that, but does Wall Lake and Lakeview still do their own trash?
Yeah.
So it didn't benefit them, because our trash hauler comes from, that's actually closer for them to run the site.
And they'll
than
tell
it
you,
is for
well,
us.
he hauls trash in Lake City.
So?
Yeah, that's his business. And he, you know, what I'm grateful for is they're shutting the landfill down. It gets us out of that obligation.
Mhm.
And eventually, once that obligation is, I think it opens the door for Auburn to get out of that agreement altogether.
Well, I think so too. If it's not a full operation, there's no sense that that
It's-
2080 agreement needs to live yet.
It's really been a situation where Sac City's benefited tremendously from it. Lakeview, Wall Lake, you know, but Auburn just hasn't because of the distance.
You're right all
With a tail.
Yeah. Well, and probably when it was established though, Auburn had to cooperate with someone,
Yes,
Yeah.
and that,
an area.
it was
district.
done by county, and Carroll County did their own, and there wasn't this line crossover of lines and things like that.
Well, and we had Sam Rudd as our hauler, who was from Lakeview.
We had our own dump down
Yeah.
underground.
Yeah,
I remember that.
I do too, I do too. I do too.
Every town did though.
Yeah, but, yeah, so there's more changes are coming. What other information would you like to see from the, is there more specifics I could give you? You
No,
said
I
you were
was
getting
just
questions.
curious, yeah,
Okay.
I was just curious
Yeah, I
how it
just-
worked.
My biggest thing is,
Just happened
you
to
know,
be in
seeing
the
what we
right
can
place
do
at the right
about
time.
not having to haul up there to
Yeah,
cut
why
our
can't
costs.
we weigh it at
Yeah.
stand?
You know, fine with our.
Call it in.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, fine if, yeah, I mean, if we have a small fee to weigh it up here and, you know, our landfill fee's fine, but our garbage hauling, I mean, we're always behind on our fees because it costs so much
Right,
for us to transport.
he hasn't raised his rates this year for us, and he has been hauling garbage up there.
Mhm.
So, yeah, if we can keep it the same,
Yeah, it'd be
With-
nice to
Yeah.
just be able to haul
As
straight
long
to
as we
Carroll.
pay the landfill fees, what difference
What
does
does
it
it,
make?
what does it matter to those guys up there then?
Yeah,
I do think
In
they
all
have
honesty.
some, at least the talking points are, they have some obligation to measure it. And, you know, the next step, it's always that situation
We want-
in
we don't wanna
politics.
go
If
with
you give
everybody.
somebody an opening
mhm.
to be the exception, then their next step, a year from now, we're all gonna say, what are we paying those landfill fees for? We don't even use the landfill. And, you know,
Well, I mean,
as, like I said, it's the majority rules in this case, and so they're probably, but I can definitely continue to explore it, believe me.
I mean, it's a certified scale. If we could run across it, send the scale tickets up, you know, if Nancy had to go down on Thursday, get the scale ticket, email it to whoever in SAC, you know, that would be,
They are allowing us to do that on recycling, so they may
Right.
allow us to do that on the actual garbage, it just depends now on,
well, yeah, I mean, it's that, or we can look at other avenues too. I mean, there's always a way to get rid of an agreement. You know, might cost some attorney fees, but there's a way. Like Nancy said, the loophole that one council's not required to follow the last one, so
right? Right.
there's some things that could happen.
Yeah, no, it's
You know,
worth
I just-
exploring,
yeah.
and you know me, if it's possible without a complete mutiny, you know, I will explore it. I think we're moving in the right direction.
Yeah,
I know it sounds like baby steps, but just closing the landfill, extremely controversial in some of the other cities. They were very
well, I'm sure
upset.
their costs are gonna go up
Yep, very
a
upset.
lot.
And,
And it can't happen fast enough for us.
exactly, that's the dynamic.
What's the next closest place for, I mean, Carroll's it.
Cherokee,
Cherokee, wow.
What you're getting is some regional centers now.
Mhm.
But we're very lucky that Carroll has to be out, I mean, they take denizens.
Harlan,
There's a huge.
they
one
come
up
as far
there.
as Harlan and everything up
Yes.
the hills, I know.
They're amazing.
That's
Where are they putting all that stuff?
In the ground.
big old mountains.
I don't know,
Ground
Bertie,
is
I
going
wondered
down.
that too, if it's gotta be ground out to the southwest, right?
Yeah, they're going southwest now. They just opened up that cell that they did have. They went southwest. They had they had a full cell. Then they opened up an additional half a cell off to the west of it. And now they're starting another cell to the northwest of it.
And on
They're
top of
starting
that,
to
they're like
create that one.
recognized nationally for tearing down the appliances and, you know, recycling appliances, the toxic chemical stuff. They'll take
The
paint,
e-waste.
they'll
Yeah.
take, yeah,
The e-waste, all that is a big
Yeah.
deal down there.
yeah,
Electronics.
they're really out in front on it. And so they must be making money or they couldn't afford to do it.
We're
And
constantly
they have
adding
to
more
monitor
people.
those cells all
Oh,
the time, the
my God.
methane gas.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, and that's
Well, I
expensive.
know they got like 5 or 6 full-time guys out on the hills now.
Yeah.
And
Kidding.
no, the recycling center, I know at least has 15 full-time employees, plus I know they hire another 20 New Hope employees.
They're doing good.
Okay, it's-
She
it's-
restarted at about 5:30, but it stayed on all afternoon.
Okay, are we done with the?
Did they
Yeah,
call you?
we're done.
Done with the waste.
Okay, Sac County Emergency Management Board.
Haven't been there.
It's getting harder to push than it,
I have no problem.
now it did, it just moved?
Sheriff's Department, I read the report off the computer, and I
Just send it.
think we have a copy here to read.
Good.
so I have no questions on that.
Did you send that sheriff's report out?
Yes, in the email. Did you
Yeah,
see
I
the
didn't
note
see any other.
on, in your pile about the Calhoun County Emergency Management meeting?
It's right there.
Okay. I just wanna make sure you saw it.
See, we got some drug
figured that
investigations
meant to me.
going on, that's kinda,
I guess I missed that.
what was it, 3 houses on drug investigations?
Oh, really?
You're kidding.
Well, the other,
Fight
Well, it wouldn't be the
progress, that was
first time.
no, the other morning, my dog ran away, and I was out looking for him, and
How early in the morning?
4:30. Let him out to pee, and he just took off. So, but then I went driving around looking for him, and there was cops everywhere in this town. There was
What
at
night?
least 7
You're
cops.
kidding.
No, the day of the snowstorm, what was that?
Monday night?
I
Yeah,
don't see none of
Whose
that.
houses are they in?
they were everywhere. They
So you
were all
couldn't
over.
tell?
I couldn't tell. They were driving everywhere. They were going up and down
Oh,
alleys.
yeah, I do
Well, they,
know about
they
that.
were-
they got a report, a dog running around, so they'll come in.
Yeah, I'm
Well,
gonna get your
It
dog.
wasn't much more, about 20 minutes after he ran away, Jill had it on Facebook, so. Anybody sees our dog?
Oh. we gotta go in one house.
My daughter and her,
He just ran to mom and
and
dad. so-
her friend lost,
That was
they,
true.
she took off to go out to her dad's for a little bit on Christmas, and they didn't have the end gate open, and their presents fell out in a clothes basket. And they were found up here on the corner, and somebody put it on Facebook, and that's how we got them back. Kim Law found them.
No,
And then but you know, they went and looked the highways, they scoured all the way back and forth, and there was quite a bit of money in those presents. But we got them back.
Cool.
It's Kim Law.
You wanted
Where
yours,
did he
though.
find
They didn't
them?
give it out
Right,
presents,
his
just as
corner,
long as you got your present, right?
Well, they were for Brent's parents. They weren't ours, but everything was there.
We have the electric dog fence, and the dog has a collar,
Yeah.
takes off after a squirrel, takes off, screeching halt when it comes to the fence.
Mine keeps wanting to go back up to the old house, so.
Yeah,
Not
they'll
used
get
to
over
it,
that. When I moved from there over there, our old dog wanted to do that too. One time we found him over there. That was
Yeah.
about it.
I found it one time over there so far.
I don't see where the drug investigations show up here though.
Right, is that it?
Yeah, well, that's where it is here.
That's just over the year.
Oh,
That's
that's
just
Oh,
the
yeah.
half of the year.
Okay, maybe that's what I saw then.
yeah, okay.
I thought I saw
One in here,
something.
you can see one in here.
I did see one in there, okay.
But that one day, what day was that on, Randy?
Just last week.
Well, that would have been the time of the snowstorm, wouldn't it?
Well, anything from January 1 is not on there.
No.
Cause that's December's.
Oh, okay.
I think what Justin's talking about is someone called in, a domestic and gave the wrong address. That's why there were so many cops in town, because they couldn't figure out
Oh, really?
where it
Okay.
was.
Ah.
It was,
Did they find it?
I don't know, but it was domestic, it wasn't
Yeah, I think that was
drug
really.
related.
Yeah, it'd be 12, 13.
Okay, next item is the mayor and council. Well, my comment is I grew up in northern Minnesota, and this cold weather does not bring back any fond memories at all.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.